and today I'm going to talk to you about learning styles and how we learn. So I found a quote: every child has a different learning style and pace. Each child is unique, not only capable of learning, but capable of succeeding. I chose this quote because it explains so much about children and how they learn different. And through these differences, we can teach them to better their learning and for them to succeed in their learning. The three learning styles that I'm going to be talking to you today about is visual learning, auditory learning, and kinesthetic learning. So I will inform you today about how children learn in different ways. I will also explain how to adapt this learning to teaching children with these learning styles. The first learning style is visual learning. They learn by seeing. They learn by looking at pictures, looking at numbers as you point to them, and different things. Ways to adapt to visual learners. With young children, books are really a big part of how they learn. They learn through looking at the pictures, and it shows them different things about the world around them that they may not be able to get to see for real. Art is also another way. It helps to explore different things, what they can make with their hands and what they can see that they've made. With older children, drawing a picture or a diagram while you're teaching can show them how things are related and interconnect with each other. Color coding is a really good idea. Labeling bins with different colors that mean one thing, or labeling books color coding can be an idea to how they group together. Highlighting and underlining, and also highlighting and underlining as they read is really important because it helps them when they go back to look at their information, what they highlighted and underlined, it stands out to them. Also, using charts and graphs to understand what they're learning. Charts can be a big help when it comes to them learning. It can show time frames, it can show how things are alike, how they're different. So, the next type of learning is kinesthetic learning. They learn by doing and touching. Ways to adapt to kinesthetic learners. With young children, sensory bins are really a good idea. You can do all kinds of things with them. You can do soft things, hard things, help them to use their fingers to pull things apart and break things, and they can be able to feel it and see how it feels to them, and that helps to bring that into their memory and for future references. Getting up and playing games helps them to get up and move and do things. They like to always be moving and always being around things. So being able to touch things and kick things and throw things, it helps them to learn how to use their body. Things like that. Older kids, fun movement games and activities helps them learn new things. Tracking your finger, using your finger when you read, tracking with your finger. It helps them to stay along with what they're reading. It also helps them not to lose their place in where they're reading. Also, modeling and relay races are a really good idea. Also, building things with their hands helps them to explore how things are put together, how they fit, how, if they don't fit, how to rearrange them and make them fit. Relay races also gets them up and moving and helping them to learn to work as a team. The last one is auditory learners. They learn by hearing. With auditory learners, young children, it helps by saying the letter. When you're pointing to something, or if you tell them to go left or to go right, you point in that direction to show them which direction you want them to go. Counting out loud is a really good idea. Also, counting while using your fingers helps them to see as you count, so your voice matches what they see. Finger plays are a really good idea. It gets them to be able to interact with their hands, and It also helps them to semi-move while they're still sitting down, because some kids like to fidget, and so finger play would help them to be able to move without having to get up and run around. Reading aloud is a really good idea because as you read aloud, they can follow what you're reading. Even as you read aloud, you also point to the words and show them that you're reading what you're reading. The pictures also help to hear what they're reading. Also, playing music. Little kids that are auditory learners love music. They love to hear it, they love to dance to it, they love to move to it. Older children reciting things aloud, they like to hear things rather than sit there and read it with their eyes. Listening to stories that may not have pictures, it helps them to create a picture in their head as they listen to it, because they can't really make a picture as they read it with their eyes. And they also have to have total silence. When it comes to loud noises, or when you're sitting in a room and somebody's talking to you and you hear constant things all around you, you can't really focus on what that person may be saying to you. So it makes it easier for them to learn the new things if there's not a whole lot of noise around. Also recording things and playing them back. When they hear their voice saying something to them, they may get it better than if somebody else said it to them. So the reason I chose this was because learning is such a big part of life, and some kids have harder times than others when they're not being taught the way they need to be taught, and so they have a harder time getting new information in. And when you take the time as a teacher and adapt to their learning style, they are able to pick up on things better and understand things better. And even if they have questions, they're able to pick the right question to ask to get the right answer from you as the teacher. So